What's up, guys? Mitchell Watts with Town & Country TV, and today we are talking and telling you everything you need to know about the new Mustang Mach-E. So a lot of people don't realize, but this is going to be the first commercially viable all-electric vehicle from Ford Motor Company that is actually desirable. So I hope some of the people at Ford Motor Company don't get mad at me, but I'm super pumped. We actually have I want to give a huge shout out to Dick Makow. He is our Ford trainer, and usually he comes from dealership to dealership, the higher end dealerships, and actually trains us on the new product. Well, with COVID going around right now, he actually did this all digitally. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get our hands on the vehicle itself, but trust me, we've learned more information in the past hour of this training session than I ever thought possible on the new Mustang Mach-E. So we're going to tell you everything you need to know and some of the things you probably didn't even think you needed to know about this new Mustang. And first up, let's talk about the naming. Ford Motor Company does not want you to call this the Mach-E. It's not the name of the vehicle. They want you to call it the Mustang Mach-E. Very important that that Mustang name is in there. The reason that they're saying that is based on the heritage or how this vehicle came to be. So quite a few years ago, Ford Motor Company realized they needed to come up with a new CAFE vehicle. If you don't know, that's the standard for average fuel economy for a particular corporation. And what they were going to do was going to make an SUV that was very aerodynamic, that was very electrical, that was designed for the best range and not really exciting, and not very fast, and just kind of a vehicle to meet those standards. Well, then Ford wanted to put those name badges of the Mustang on it, and they looked at it and they said, okay, if you want to use the Mustang name brand, you need to actually have a vehicle that is sexy and that actually performs. And so they ended up scrapping the entire first prototype program, and they started over from scratch, which I think is really, really cool. And so the end result is what you're looking at right there. And what you're looking at is something that's got a longer hood line than normal. It's got a higher roof line for more cargo space on the inside, and really just has more amenities that make the vehicle more desirable. That was the goal that Ford had on the second iteration of the Mustang Mach-E, was to make it more desirable. So now you've got up to 300 miles of range, depending on how the vehicle is equipped, obviously, because you've got an extended range and a regular range. You've got a rear-wheel drive and an all-wheel drive, so keep that in mind. That's very, very important to note. And keep in mind that if you want to order a Mustang Mach-E, we would be happy to be your dealership with absolutely no dealer markups. If you'd like to do that, click down on the link down below, place your reservation if it's a Mustang Mach-E GT, or if it's just a different one of those kinds, you can actually place that order at the time that I'm making this video right now. Make sure to select Town & Country Ford, 5041 Ford Parkway, if you'd like more information about that, or just give us a call. The phone number is right there on the screen. The cool part about the Mustang Mach-E is we're actually going to receive our first one here in just a couple of months. But the crazy thing is it's not going to be available for sale. So Ford has got this thing that they call the FCTP program, the Ford Courtesy Transportation Program. And what that basically means is it gives us a vehicle ahead of time that we will allow our customers to drive, our employees to drive, and basically get people to understand and get used to this type of a technology, because a lot of prior Ford buyers are not used to being electric buyers. And then you've got a lot of electric buyers, like the Tesla buyers, that may be considering swapping over to Ford, and maybe they don't truly understand how good this vehicle is. Well, Ford is going to allow you to demonstrate that here at our dealership with that courtesy transportation vehicle. So that's a pretty cool thing. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, as far as I'm checking out my notes down below, and I apologize for that, but one of the things that I want you to realize is this vehicle is going to be a global platform. So not only are we getting it in America, you've got Europe, China, Japan, it's going across the globe. And so that's pretty cool as well. Now, the reason that Ford Motor Company calls this thing the Mustang is because the Mustang pretty much stands for fast, freedom, and fun. And I think this vehicle is going to hit all of those categories. And one of the reasons I say that is because of the Mustang Mach-E GT. So as you guys know, that is going to be the most powerful version of the Mustang Mach-E. And the cool part is it does 0 to 60 in the mid 3-second range, so 3.5 seconds. Well, but you can't call it a Mustang because, did you know that the Mustang Mach-E GT is faster than the GT 500 0 to 60? You heard me right. The Mustang Mach-E GT does 0 to 60 in 3.5. The GT 500 does it in 3.7 seconds. a big reason for that is going to be the all-wheel drive architecture in that GT model. Another reason this vehicle can do that 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds is because it's an electric vehicle. It has no drivetrain loss. So on average, if you have an internal combustion engine, ICE for short, you've actually got an engine, then the engine sends the power to the transmission has got a drive shaft that goes out to the back, then it goes into the differential to the axles, then to the tires. Well, in an electric vehicle, the motors are literally connected to the tires themselves, and it's a one-speed transmission. So literally instant torque. You have no weighting involved, and you've got no drivetrain loss because you're not sending the power from all the way here to all the way back here. It's one of the reasons this vehicle is so much more efficient on the miles per tank or miles per charge in this particular Mustang. Another couple of benefits that the Mustang Mach-E has got is because it's electric, there is no internal combustion motor in the front, but what you're not thinking about is you also don't have a transmission hump that goes from the front to the back. And so now you've got a much lower flat floor all the way across for extra storage. And the other cool part about that is because those batteries are going to be underneath the floorboard itself, it gives it an extremely low center of gravity, which makes the vehicle handle phenomenally around a track or just some backcountry roads. Now, the other benefit of not having that internal combustion motor, as you probably already know, is that there is not the motor up in the front. So what Ford has done is they've given us the ability to store stuff. In fact, there's 4.7 cubic feet of storage space underneath that front hood. And the cool part is it's water resistant, it's washable, and it's got a drain plug. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? If you're going to the ballpark and you need to keep some ice cold Coca-Colas, guess what? You might not need to bring your cooler this time. You just load it up with ice, put your drinks in there, and guess what? When it's done, you just unplug it and it all drains out. We're gonna come back to some more cargo features on the vehicle here in just a few minutes, but I wanna talk about one of the things that has gotten the biggest buzz, and that's going to be the Sync 4A system. You heard me right, and I didn't say it wrong. It's Sync 4A, not Sync 4. The F-150 is getting the new Sync 4 system where it's got a 12-inch screen that is going to be laid out horizontally. The Mach-E has got a 15.5-inch vertical screen, and that is what that A stands for. That A, I don't know where they came up with the naming scheme for it, but the Sync 4A means that it's in portrait mode, not landscape. Now, the cool part about this system is it is completely cloud connected. So for, as far as I know, the lifetime of the vehicle, it's automatically connected to the cloud using AT&T cellular service, and it also qualifies for over-the-air updates. So I know what you're thinking. Okay, an over-the-air update, man, I can make my screen look better, or I can make my digital dashboard look nicer and cooler. Yes, it will do that, but that's not where it stops. The over-the-air updates actually allow the vehicle to have the suspension tuned, the shock absorbers tuned, the steering field tuned. All of that can be done after you take delivery of the vehicle, and you never have to bring it into the dealership to do that. So the vehicle will literally get better with age. And yes, that is a playbook directly out of Tesla, but I'm very excited to see Ford do that on the Mach-E, and then also some similar features are going to be unveiled on the new F-150 as well with that same over-the-air updates. Sync 4A also happens to have preferences, meaning that if you get in your vehicle using your phone, we're going to cover that in a second, and you crank up the car and I'm the primary driver, guess what? It automatically knows my preferences, meaning that it can tell, hey, it's a work day, I'm probably, statistically speaking, going to go to work. It'll automatically recommend directions to work. It'll automatically recommend places that I can stop and get charging if the battery needs it. And the cool part is that it completely adjusts everything in the vehicle, not just the seats, not just the mirrors, but everything in the vehicle is customized to me as a preference for the first time ever in Ford Motor Company. Now, the other cool part is that big 15.5-inch screen, there's a lot of tiles all over the vehicle or all over that screen. You can actually custom move those anywhere that you want to with some limitations, like the climate control system automatically is going to stay at the bottom, but everything else you can move around. And since I saved that to my preference, it knows that, and then the next time my wife gets in the car, it gets her tiles on that screen set up. But when I get back in, guess what? It remembers what I like, what I do. It can even save my favorite music. And so I think Ford's really stepping up the technology game in this new Sync 4A. In addition to that, navigation system is also going to be connected. So very similar to how Waze uses traffic updates to make a recommendation to go over another route, guess what? The new Sync navigation system is going to have that same kind of a feature, meaning that, you know what, it can tell that there's road work on your way to work, it'll suggest another path. It can also tell if you are running low on battery. Let's say if I'm going to the beach, the fastest way to the beach might be to shoot straight down the interstate and go straight to the beach. But if you need a charge in between there, this vehicle will actually recommend a different path, so that way you can stop at some of the fastest chargers, and so that way you're not down on these longer road trips. So Ford's really taken a playbook, once again, out of Tesla to make sure that you enjoy the experience of driving this vehicle, not just short term, but long term as well, and on long drives. The last thing that I'm going to talk about on this 15.5-inch screen is going to be the owner's manual. It comes with a digital owner's manual built into that 15.5-inch touchscreen. Obviously, you can't be flipping through stuff while you're driving down the road, but if you pull over, you can search and find anything you need to know right there inside that 15.5-inch screen. Standard on all of the Mustang Mach-E's, regardless of what trim level you're getting, you get a wireless charger for your cell phone. So that's pretty cool. I've got an iPhone 11. All you literally have to do is set the phone down. It automatically charges it. And the cool part is, because this bigger screen has got a much stronger computer, for the first time ever, Ford Motor Company is going to have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. No plugs needed, which I was at first bummed out. I was like, well, I use the plug to keep my phone charged up. Well, if you just set your phone down, it's charging wirelessly, and you've got the wireless Apple CarPlay. There's no reason to have a cord anymore. It's charging and got the Apple CarPlay without any cords necessary. Let's talk about charging for just a second. The vehicle comes automatically with Ford's mobile charger, where you can do 110 or 240 volts. That's fine and dandy. You can use that if you want to, but Ford also sells a connected charging system where you can actually control the vehicle directly from your Ford Pass app. And the reason that that's pretty cool is you can automatically set specific charging times, meaning that I want to charge in off-peak hours so I can get the lower electricity bill, which we're going to come back to that in a second. This thing is stupid cheap to actually recharge the vehicle itself. But the nice part is you have that ability to choose when the vehicle charges. And the vehicle is completely controlled by the Ford Pass app as well. So that means you can actually choose, okay, so I know that I'll normally leave 6 o'clock in the morning. I would like for the vehicle to be nice and warm or nice and cool by 5:50. And so that way it's using the electricals from your house to cool the vehicle exactly when you need it to be. So that way, if it's 10 degrees outside, the vehicle's warmed up, but it used the electricity from the vehicle, from the house, instead of the vehicle. So that way it's not eating into your mileage range in those extreme cold or extreme cool conditions. So a very, very cool feature that Ford gives you, that ability to customize the vehicle and to control the vehicle from that app. And speaking of charging, this particular vehicle also supports level 3 charging, which means you can get 61 miles of charge in just 10 minutes. An incredible feat to be able to charge it that fast. And the cool part is that it's not a proprietary charging system like Tesla. Tesla, you have to go to a Tesla charging station, supercharger network to get the charge. Guess what? This one has well over 13,000 different charging locations. You guessed, built into the Ford Pass app. You can see exactly where all of those charging stations are from the app or from the navigation screen. That same level 3 charger will charge 80% of your battery in only 45 minutes. I think that's a pretty incredible feat. And we're looking at actually installing those level 3 chargers here at our dealership as well. As you know, if you're a Ford dealership that does the EV, you actually have to have electrical charging out front and then also one in service. So that way, if you're getting any maintenance done, like brakes or tire rotation or whatever, we actually charge your vehicle while we're working on it. So when you come in, you'll leave with more charge than you had when you got here. So that's pretty cool. Now, the other thing that you need to know, talking about Ford dealers, is the network of repairs. So if you haven't already seen so, Ford Motor Company has got over 3,200 Ford dealers. And Tesla, I think, has got about 115 different service stations for their vehicles. So if you have a problem with a Tesla, like in the state of Alabama, if you have a Tesla, my neighbor across the street has got one, I started freaking out the other night when I came home from work and there was a tow truck coming to get the vehicle to go do some simple maintenance and take it across the state line. Well, in this situation, you can take it to any of your 3,200 Ford dealers. It is much more convenient. Yes, we also happen to have the roadside assistance. We can also come pick up your vehicle. And here's the cool part is that roadside assistance, if for some reason you have a bonehead moment and you don't charge the vehicle and you run out of juice, roadside assistance will come pick you up, pick the vehicle up on a trailer, and take it to your nearest Ford dealership or to the nearest charging station so you can get charged. So you don't have to worry about that. I think that's really, really stinking cool. And in addition to that, Ford Motor Company's got a really good warranty on these vehicles. So you're looking at the normal 3-year, 36,000 mile bumper to bumper, 5-year, 60 powertrain, but there's an 8-year, 100,000 mile warranty on all of the main electrical components that drive the vehicle. That's pretty stinking cool that Ford's willing to step up and give you that kind of level of warranty right out of the box without having to pay any extra for it. I know I'm jumping a little bit around because the training was all over it was just so much information to take in, but it's a lot of good information that I want to convey to you guys. But I've had a lot of people say, well, what if I get an electric car? It's going to blow up my electricity bill. It's going to blow up my electricity bill. That's actually not the case. So depending on which one you get, there's a 90 kilowatt hour battery in the Mustang Mach-E. And so if you do a little bit of math, I think the average kilowatt per hour charge across the entire United States is 13 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, if you, depending on where you live, if you have got a value charging time, meaning that, as we talked a little bit earlier, you can charge at midnight or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. The cool part about that is, in some situations, that might drop it down to 7 cents per kilowatt hour. If you do the math, you're going to be talking about $6.30 to charge this thing from totally empty to totally full. $6.30 versus 30, 40, or 50 bucks to fill up a normal petrol gas tank. You do the math. Technology is going to be one of the biggest things about this particular vehicle. Ford Copilot 360 2.0 is going to be standard across the board on all Mustang Mach-E's, and you've also got the ability to bump up that package to get even more driver assist features. Now, some of the most notable ones are going to be the adaptive cruise control, but now, depending on when you're watching this video, you'll actually have the ability to do hands-free driving. So if you opt for the vehicle and make sure that the vehicle's got the options from the factory, it actually comes with all the hardware right out of the box to be able to take your hands off the steering wheel. It literally will drive you on a divided section of road without ever touching the steering wheel. So as long as you're paying attention to the road, and there is a camera looking at your eyes to make sure that you're paying attention, but as long as you're paying attention to the road, it's hands-free. You can be drinking water, non-alcoholic beverages. You can have a cheeseburger while you're driving down the interstate. Whatever you need, you've got that ability to do hands-free driving. Another notable technology that I think is pretty cool is going to be the intersection assist. So if you are going to be cutting across traffic, making a left-hand turn, there's going to be camera systems and radar sensors that are going to be looking for oncoming vehicles. And if you're not paying attention, you can set up the feature to alert you, so that way you either step on the gas harder or that you step on the brake, or you can even program the vehicle, if you choose, to completely stop the vehicle to keep you from getting into that wreck, or potentially stop you from getting into that accident. So a really, really cool technology feature that was originally announced on the Mustang Mach-E, but it is also going to make its way into the new 2021 Ford F-150. And one thing I forgot to mention to you about the lane keeping assist, where literally the vehicle will steer you and keep you in the lane, is that the current lane keeping system that you've got in all of our other vehicles right now, it's looking for the lines in the road. Well, this version can also see the edges of the pavement as well. So if there is not a very clear dedicated line of paint on the road, this one in some situations can even see the edge of the pavement. I think that's pretty cool as well. As far as the styling of the Mustang Mach-E, LED tail lamps are going to be standard across the board, and you can see that the styling of the vehicle is definitely designed after a Mustang. You've got a grille. Well, technically it's not a grille. It does have active grille shutters, which I think is going to be nice to allow for extra aerodynamics at interstate speeds and things like that. But you also happen to have the longer hood that looks like a Mustang. You've even got, as you see on this picture right here, if you focus on the red car, you'll see how it looks like it's got much more of a fastback look to it. But the roof itself is going to be painted black, so that way they can extend it out and up a little bit higher to allow for more cargo space and more headroom in that second row. So it's a really cool optical illusion that Ford was able to do to make it look more lean and sleek and things like that, but while also not compromising the fact that this thing is an SUV with plenty of space. And speaking of plenty of space, I mentioned to you we were going to come back to the cargo, and yes, that's exactly what we're doing right now. So you've got the two front seats, but you've also got a bench seat in the rear. It's a 60-40 split bench, and you have the ability to fold each one of those sides down to allow for more space on the vehicle. And as I've mentioned to you earlier, the batteries are going to be located in the floorboard, not affecting the height of the trunk space, meaning that if this was an afterthought of an electric vehicle, the batteries would probably be stored in the back. That's not the case. Since they're in the floor, you've got a nice load flat floor. And the other cool part about that is the floor, it's got adjustable heights. So you can choose how high you need that floor to be to make sure that it's fitting all cargo needs. To get into that cargo space, you can do one of two things. You can walk up with your key and use the available foot-activated lift gate to open it up, but you also happen to have phone as a key. So I think they call it PAAK is the acronym for it, but it's phone as a key. Literally, it uses Bluetooth technology to know that this phone owns that Mustang Mach-E GT or whichever version you want. I think it comes with it standard across the board. But you literally walk up to the vehicle, and when it senses your phone, even if you don't have your key, it automatically turns on the Mustang lights that shine on the floor around the vehicle. And then as you go in and you press the button, it automatically pops the door open 1.5 inches, and then you use the grab handle to open the door the rest of the way. It's a really different type of way to enter the vehicle, but it is much more elegant than what is going on right now, especially having the ability to not have to keep your keys on you anymore, especially since your phone pretty much controls everything nowadays. Although the Mustang Mach-E is going to just be an awesome vehicle in general, you've got to realize that that's not going to be the only reason you're going to have some people looking at this vehicle. The other reason is going to be the pricing structure. So the cool thing about the Mustang Mach-E is that it is priced very competitively. So the direct competitors of this vehicle are going to be the Tesla Model Y. They're a little SUV. You've got the Jaguar I-Pace, I believe it's called, and then you've got the Audi e-tron. Those are going to be the direct competitors of this vehicle. The Audi e-tron's a cool little vehicle. I think it's awesome. It does have a little bit less range, available range, than the Mustang Mach-E does. The I-Pace is great, but I'm a little concerned about the dealer body there, meaning there's not enough dealers to service it if you have any issues. That kind of leaves you with the Mustang. But keep in mind, we are a Ford dealership in Bessemer and Pell City, Alabama, so I am definitely biased. I'm not afraid to admit that. But what you also have to know is not only are the pricing going to be aggressive compared to those particular vehicles, but Ford Motor Company does qualify up to a tax credit of up to $7,500. Now, keep in mind you need to consult your tax accountant before you make any purchase decisions and things like that. But keep in mind that that tax credit, if you lease the vehicle, that $7,500 comes off the front end of that price of that vehicle. So that way, if you lease the vehicle, you're utilizing the most amount of savings. I guess what I'm trying to say is this tax credit is going to have much more of an impact on a lease than it will on a purchase. But nonetheless, Tesla no longer has a $7,500 tax credit. Not sure exactly why that is, but I think it's interesting that Ford does have that right now. Another interesting thing about the Mustang Mach-E is for the first time in Ford's history, that I'm aware of anyway, that they've actually come out with pricing covenants, meaning that you, as a dealer body, we're allowed to sell the vehicle for whatever price we want to, but it is illegal for us to advertise it for $1 less than MSRP. So they are taking, well, yet again, another playbook out of Tesla's, taking another play out of Tesla's playbook, whereas you go online, you see the price, that is the price of the vehicle. So I think that's also pretty interesting as well. As you can see on the screen, there's a lot of different versions of the Mustang Mach-E, all the way up to the Mustang Mach-E GT, which is going to be available in the late summer of 2021. So if that's the one you want, you got a little bit of waiting to do. And I will tell you that I placed a reservation for myself on a Mustang Mach-E GT. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep it, or I know I'm getting a Bronco. I just have to talk my wife into allowing me to have 2 vehicles. So that's kind of what I'm battling right now. But I like the idea of having an electric vehicle, not having to go to the gas station unless I just want a drink or something. So that is kind of pretty cool there. But I will tell you that as far as that is concerned, on the badging of the vehicle on the outside, you'll see the Mustang Mach-E. And if you see the 4 on that back badge, that means it's an all-wheel drive. And if you see an X on that badging of the rear of the vehicle, that means it's the extended range battery. So that's just a quick and easy way to identify which Mustang Mach-E is which vehicle. This vehicle does happen to have a couple of different driving modes. So like the F-150, you've got the tow haul mode, sport mode, eco mode, that kind of thing. So you've got in this one, you've got unbridled mode, interesting name, and a couple of other different ones. But one thing that I'm very interested to get my hands on and drive one is to drive it in the unbridled mode, because they are actually going to have propulsion sounds piped through the stereo system when you're in the unbridled mode. So I'm curious to see what that's going to sound like. Hopefully they're not going to try and make it sound like a 5.2 flat plane crank out of the GT350. It would just not sound right. But it's going to be interesting to see how well Ford does that. I will tell you, Ford's been doing this type of a system where they pump in sounds, engine sounds into the cab using the speakers. For instance, the most popular one is the Ford F-150 Raptor. They did a great job with that. Doesn't bother me any. So I'm hoping that they knock that one out of the park on the Mustang as well. Mustang Mach-E. Another thing that I'm really excited about trying is going to be the new version of the one pedal driving mode. So literally you go into the 15.5-inch touchscreen, you turn on one pedal driving, and guess what? You hit the accelerator, you speed up. If you let off the accelerator, it will actually slow you down, and it can even coast you to a complete stop if you want it to. And the cool part is that is going to be the best way to get the most out of your regenerative braking out of the vehicle. And if you don't know, the regenerative braking is when you coast to a stop. It uses that inertia to recharge the battery to give you more range in the vehicle. And so one pedal driving is going to be the best way to get an eco-friendly way of driving. As far as the interior of the vehicle goes, it is absolutely beautiful with cloth seats or even Active X seating. Yes, that, if you don't know, this vehicle is not even available with leather. So it is truly a vegan-friendly vehicle across the board. You can't even get real leather. But I'll tell you, the Active X seats, it looks like leather. It kind of smells like leather. But one of the things that I love about it in my wife's Explorer is that it is so much easier just to wipe spills right off the seat. It doesn't soak it up kind of like leather can sometimes do. A couple of other notable features on the inside of the vehicle is going to be this massive glass roof. Now the nice part is that it does not open, so it is a solid, hard construction glass roof, and it does have some UV protection, so you're not going to have to worry about getting sunburned and have issues with the skin on the top of your head. You're good to go there. They've automatically got that in place. And lastly, let's talk about the legroom in that second row. The nice part is it's going to have very comparable legroom to the new Ford Explorer as far as legroom in that second row seats. So I think this is going to be a very good competitive vehicle. I think we're going to sell a good bit more than Ford actually thinks they will. I know a lot of people have a problem of getting over the name Mustang, and hopefully in this video I've explained to you what Ford's reasoning was behind calling it the Mustang Mach-E. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that thumbs up button, because it really does help us with the YouTube algorithm to display this vehicle, or this video rather, to much more people. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, you can hit us up and down in the comments below, or you can simply call us if you want some more information about ordering you a Mustang Mach-E for yourself. The phone number is right there on the screen. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the bell notification turned on so you don't miss a single video.